Coming up this week, candidates are now locked in for the school trustee by-election. The PPC getting ready for a federal election bid with a Chilliwack candidate. Imagine High now has an elective for gamers. And Alex?
Well, and in sports, former Chiefs are up for a major American hockey award and an interview with the Chilliwack Grapplers.
And Cari, what's the weather going to look like for Groundhog Day?
If I was a groundhog in the Fraser Valley, Don, I would actually just stay in bed.
Our guests this week include Matt Slykhuis from Imagine High. That's all coming up this week. There are 3 confirmed candidates for the by-election of Chilliwack School Board Trustee. Now, the deadline for filing the nomination papers came and went on January 24th. Now, the 3 candidates for March the 1st and that by-election date is Katie Bartell, Lori Thronis, and an 18-year-old Unity Christian High School student. And from his Instagram page, Shane Koeman says, "I'm running for school board trustee for my District 33. My goal is to depoliticize our education system so our students can focus on learning. Also, personal endorsements are now becoming public. Former MLA Kelly Patton has endorsed Katie Bartell. Current MLA Heather Maas has personally endorsed Lori Thronis." The political stories around the upcoming federal election, whenever that will be, have focused primarily on the Conservatives, the Liberals, the NDP, and on the outside, the Green Party. But the People's Party of Canada have announced a Chilliwack Hope candidate, with others in the Fraser Valley to be announced in the coming weeks. Jeff Galbraith is running in Chilliwack Hope. Still no timeline, though, for a federal election. After a quiet beginning to the year, Kent Harrison Search and Rescue had a busy weekend. They rescued some stranded ATV riders off Chehalis Forest Service Road. Then they had to rescue a hiker who had a head injury. That was on Bear Mountain. Now, everybody is safe and accounted for. But again, Search and Rescue had to quell some false social media reports. SAR is a free service. You don't have to pay for it. You are asked to donate to them to help them continue their work. K9 At Your Side Dog Training Company hosted the Doggo Winterfest. It's a training and agility workshop for pets, service dogs, and even the humans. Now, another one is coming up in April. From their Facebook page, our goal is to make sure your dog and your human is well-balanced, and a well-balanced dog is a happy dog. That leads to a great team and the best relationship you will ever have. United Way Chilliwack is part of this program. For the past 40 years, the Chilliwack Foundation is a living trust. It enables citizens to establish a fund either during their lifetime or through gifts in their will or life insurance policy. The funds entrusted to the foundation are administered in accordance with the donor's intentions. Now, funds donated to the Chilliwack Foundation are perpetually held in trust and invested under the oversight of the investment committee. The foundation is going to be holding a fundraising scavenger hunt in September. More information will come in their social media. Louis DeJagger officially sworn in as Métis BC's first LGBTQ plus chair. The position on their board of directors aims to represent those voices and citizens across the province. It's the first position of its kind of any Métis government across Canada. He won the election back on January the 6th. Imagine High has a really cool new program. It's for grade 9s in video game development and the practical uses. Matt Slykhuis and Brooke Holler will be joining us in a moment for more information on this really cool elective. So, coming up, our gaming interview with Imagine High, and then Hobie Baker Hockey. Alex will have more in sports in just a couple of minutes. This week continues with Matt Slykhuis of Imagine High, and we're going to talk gaming, and this is a really cool program that you guys have developed. And before anybody rolls their eyes and goes, what, you're teaching the kids gaming, there's a little more to it than that. What's the basics here? Because, again, there's going to be some parents going, okay, my kid is going to sit there and play games for an hour every day?
Yeah, so we've been running a video game program for the last 3 years, and it's really about teaching students things like programming, but also collaboration skills. We do a lot of things together with different electives. So like we just put up arcade cabinets that were made by our woodshop students.
Okay.
The art students decorated them, and then my students built the games that are inside of them, kind of thing. So,
very cool.
So yeah, so this new program we're starting up next year is kind of an outflow of the experience we've had building this program. And so it's going to be a grade 9 whole day program that kind of rolls everything they're learning, math, science, English, social studies, but does it through the lens of game development.
You brought something up very important with the various disciplines, and in this day and age, you got to be digitally literate. So for you, and I know for myself, I have to constantly keep up and know where we're going. That's got to be a challenge for you too, because then, I mean, the kids know more than you do.
Yeah. It's amazing what they come in at grade 9 already knowing how to do.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy trying, and they always want to push the envelope. We want to do VR, we want to do 3D, all this stuff, and so. But it's a step, right? We teach them the basics and work our way up, and I try to stay a step ahead of them.
I can imagine there's going to be somebody saying, okay, it's gaming. What about the violence in games and stuff like that? I'm sure that you have to address that.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, that's like a huge part of the curriculum in BC is looking at like the ethical side of things. So we actually get some really neat discussions about like what's okay and what's not okay. And it's neat to hear students defend their point of view, but also how often that they're actually sensitive to like what's not okay as well, and some great discussions for sure. Speaking
of that, with the discussions, do you have that discussion of AI when you're dealing with gaming and that program you have? Because it's a reality and it's not going to go away.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sort of two-sided. On the one hand, like students are very defensive of art. They don't want to see art taken over because a lot of them are artists and they want to have a place for themselves in the future. But there's also the side of AI as a tool. It's great for helping us like debug code and things like that. And so trying to find a way to weave it in so it's a tool and it doesn't take over is a challenge.
Well, there's an interesting thing that you mentioned too. Again, not just gaming, but debugging. Are some of these students looking at maybe getting into, whether it's Facebook or whatever, on the backside of it and saying, okay, here's the program, here's what happened, your system crashed, here's how I can fix it. Do you have some of the students that are really interested in that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And our group really scales both ways, from the really sort of art-brained types who want to learn the code so they can support the artwork they want to do. But we also have the ones who are just hard into the code. They want to do computer science, and so this is a way to start early.
They could end up with a government job or something like that. One other thing we were talking about off camera, and I'm going to show my age because I remember Pac-Man. Yes, I remember Pong. And yeah, you guys have a history class.
Yeah.
So what have you been talking about outside of Pac-Man and Pong?
Yeah, just today we were doing a little bit of video game history. So we were looking at the arcade era. But also it's interesting because so much of that is tied to what was happening in the economics of the 70s and 80s, which is tied to world history and the Cold War. And so things start outworking from there. And it's hooking kids in by talking about the games that they recognize really makes them interested in some of these bigger issues as well.
Very cool. Now, if somebody wants to find out more information, they get a hold of you through Imagine High, or?
Yeah, you bet. Right on our school webpage for Imagine High. My email's on there, and they can find out more about the program.
Matt, a big thank you. You're welcome anytime. And we have a technical thing if you can fix. Oh, never mind. That's later. Thanks again. You're watching This Week.
Hello, Chilliwack sports fans, enthusiasts, athletes, and the dedicated parents bringing their kids to a 5 a.m. skate. In football, there are some changes for the Valley Huskers. Coach Gary Lumeka will be leaving the team. Gary first came to the program in 2012 as a player, where he played 5 seasons. After graduating from the organization as a player, Gary took off the helmet, put on the headset, where he has coached and been an integral part of the organization ever since. But all good things must end, and he is heading for another challenge. The Huskers organization would like to recognize and thank Coach Gary Lumeka for his contributions to the program over the past 13 seasons. In Chiefs alumni news, 3 former players have been nominated for the NCAA Hobie Baker Award, which is presented to the top college hockey player. Vegas Golden Knights draft pick Abram Wiebe at North Dakota, Connor Milburn at Lake Superior State, and Sasha Teleguin, also at Lake Superior State, are all vying for the coveted award. A Chiefs alum, Jason Krog, is a former winner of the Hobie Baker Award. Jason is now the Vancouver Canucks skill and skating coach. So just some cool stuff all around. The Chiefs continue to be an organization that develops excellent hockey, and the college and pro teams are checking out what we have going on. So here's what the Chiefs have going on. Dominic Greco commits for next season. Another forward being brought in to the team tells you what the organization is looking for next year. But after dropping 4-3 to Coquitlam on the 24th, they send Alberni Valley back to the island with a 4-1 win at home. Next up will be on January 31st at the Coliseum, and this is the game I will be at. The Chiefs are atop their conference still with a 3-point lead over the Surrey Eagles. The Jets, now, for the first time in a long time, not first by a long shot. The Ridge Meadows Flames now have a 2-point lead. Now, both teams are more than 20 points ahead of anyone in their division and 10 up on the league. Both have clinched playoff spots, but this will be a conference battle to watch. They are 2-2 against each other this season, and the Jets will be closing their regular season at home on the 2nd and the 8th. Go see these games, please. Now to shake away from the main sports. Are you curious about ball hockey? Well, go give it a try. Join Chilliwack Minor Ball Hockey on February 9th from 4 to 5:30 at Chellett's Hall for their first free Try It event. If you are unsure whether you want to register, this is the perfect opportunity to test out the program ahead of registering for the season. The event will be run by experienced coaches in our development team, so the kids can experience shooting, passing, and stick handling in a safe and inclusive environment. I think I might be putting this one on my calendar. My greatest shortcoming as a Canadian is my lack of hockey ability, so this might be where some of us get our start. Now over to college, where UFE had their way with MacEwan University over the weekend. I was fortunate enough to be in attendance for the Friday game, and my goodness. The women's team took a 66-39 win, and the men's 104-61. Maddie Gobet took second place in UFE's all-time scoring list, and Dario Lopez broke 1,000 career points on that day. And then on Saturday, both teams kept dishing it out to the Griffins. Shout out to Jake Williamson, who went 7 for 10 from the three-point range on Saturday, as the men's team closed out a sweep at the UFE Athletic Center. With the wins, the women's team moves to 11-5 on the season, and the men's to 7-9 for a second and fifth place standing in the Pacific Division, respectively. The Cascades are on the road for a pair of games in Prince George against UNBC on the 31st and February 1st. And then on the women's team, Maddie Gobet scored another 17 points in the first half on Saturday as they finished off a 66-39 win over the MacEwan Griffins. Now over to volleyball. On the men's side, and despite 3 sets being decided by just 2 points, the Cascades dropped a 4-set decision to the Brandon University Bobcats on Saturday in Manitoba. The Cascades do fall to 6-10 on the season with the result, while Brandon improves to 6-8. The Cascades now have a week off before they take on the Trinity West Spartans on the 6th and the 7th in a home-and-home matchup. And on the women's side, they dropped a 5-set contest to Brandon as well. With the result, they dropped to 12-2 on the season, while Brandon moves to 2-12 on the year. The Cascades continue their road swing next week with a pair of matches against the Regina Cougars on January 31st and February 1st. Both matches can be seen live on Canada West TV. And over to the mountains, where Cultus Lakes ski cross champion Reese Howden is back on the slopes this weekend in Väsane, Sweden, for races on February 1st and 2nd. Now, the tickets are free, but the parking is not, so if you're not able to make it to Sweden to watch this event, check out watch.fis-ski.com. Now, on February 21st, we have a unique event where the skateboarders of Juvie Skate and the wrestlers of Chilliwack Grapplers have been brought together for a crossover event. We have Trevor Johnson and Bill Brook in about just a minute to talk about it. And finally, Chilliwack Hawks Field Lacrosse U9-2 won their last league game of the season, 10-8 over Maple Ridge. Jada and Charlie both scored 4 goals each. And for this who already know this, but lacrosse is one of the most fun sports to watch live. Field or box, it doesn't matter. Better yet, go get some tickets from our professional team, the Vancouver Warriors. They play Saskatchewan on the 21st at Rogers Arena. And as a bonus treat, the Chilliwack Hawks will be playing as part of the halftime show. All I'm saying is lower bowl tickets are $35 and under. Go Hawks. Coming up, our interview with Juvie Skate and Chilliwack Grapplers, and then Cari about the weather. I'll see you at the game. All right, so we're here with Coach Brooks and Pena from Chilliwack Grapplers. So, coaches, tell us about Chilliwack Grapplers.
We are a nonprofit group of volunteers that have started a program in 2019, just before the pandemic, and achieved some initial interest, and the school district also supported us. So now we're back after that and kind of rebuilding the program. We have about 32 kids coming on a free drop-in that happens every Friday, and that's part of Chilliwack Community Services. We've had a tremendous amount of support from them. And we are kind of recognized both for our inclusivity in terms of who attends and our competitive success.
Very cool. So how did you two get into Chilliwack Grapplers?
Yeah, I probably is better he tell the story because I answered his question in the newspaper.
Yeah, so I had this, on a trial program. I received some money from the provincial government to run a drop-in program in the summer of 2019, and got some mats together, got a venue, and but was kind of alone on the coaching side. So I threw an ad in the paper to talk about the program. That evening, Coach Penna calls me and talks about his achievements in El Salvador, how he coached there as their national champion and coached at the Olympics. And so I knew I had to meet him right away. So we got together, and we've had we've been together ever since.
So did you have to wrestle in this interview, or was it just a conversation?
Meeting around 11 p.m.
Yeah, I finished work and I called him up, and he just dropped everything, came to see me. I phoned after work. Do you want to get together? Yep. So, and then I knew right away. Well, here was the technical part of the equation right here, and so it just kind of seemed like it was supposed to happen.
Very cool. So if you want to start getting into grapplers, like I don't know how to wrestle, if I wanted to join, what does Chilliwack Grapplers look like in terms of joining, ages, competitive, recreational? Do you have to wear a singlet?
No, it's pretty seamless. It's pretty easy entry. Perhaps our most well-known program is our free drop-in on Friday evenings. We're over at the Chilliwack Landing Center upstairs there, and it's 6 to 8 every Friday. And our grouping is kind of age grades 4 to grade 12. But if somebody's got a sibling in the program a little bit younger, they're also welcome to come out. It's a free drop-in. We throw in some pizza, thanks again to Community Services. And it's a great little learning environment, and lots of games, lots of just introductory stuff.
Very cool. And if someone was wanting to look you guys up and get more information, where would you be found? We
have a modest Facebook page. It's CHWK Grapplers Wrestling on Facebook, and then that's a link to some just contact information, or they can, if you look up Chilliwack Wrestling, we kind of show up on Google that way. Very cool. Well, thank you, coaches. I'm glad that wrestling's part of this community. It's a good sport, and I hope more people participate in it.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's the opportunity for the kids because they know everybody. They know we are there. 100% the people coming, and they found.
Excellent. Check them out on Facebook and head to their drop-in. Back to ChillTV Sports.
Cari, what will Groundhog Day really be like?
Well, Don, it's like you don't have enough friends and you need to have some groundhogs in your life. So let's talk about the weather. Friday, there's an 80% chance of precipitation with it starting to cool off over Saturday, which means there's going to be some slushy snow in with that rain. So there might be about 1 centimeter of snow during the day on Saturday and 10 centimeters they're calling for on Saturday night. Not fun. But Sunday, things will be clearing up again. There might be a few flurries throughout the day as the clouds start to go away. Monday, on the other hand, it's going to get even clearer. Maybe slight chance of some flurries, but it's going to be cold. Temperatures are going to drop below 6 degrees at night. Might even feel like minus 13. So that is very chilly. And it's going to be similar for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the rest of the week. Here's a fun fact for you that's not about groundhogs. The snow is actually not white. It's clear. It appears white because of the sun reflecting off the crystals, which makes me then wonder, why is snow white at night? Don't know everything. Back to you, Don.
Thanks, Cari, and thank you for watching. If you have a local news story you'd like us to report on, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. I'm Don Lehn.